Hey everyone, so today we're going to be taking a look at Material UI's grid component. I find this is quite a difficult component to wrap your head around and get used to, but once you're able to use it, it's super powerful and can be used to make some really nice looking responsive UIs. So it's basically a responsive grid layout that can adapt to different screen sizes and orientations. So it's a 12 column grid layout, and we can see some examples here of some cool looking things you can build. And it's also responsive, so you can make these different widths based on the screen size that the user is using. So we could go through the documentation and explain that, but I think that's pretty boring. So let's do a hands-on demo of what you can do with Material UI Grid. So to begin with, I've created a simple React application here using Create React App. If you don't know how to do that, then I'd recommend watching this video, which I have uploaded, that shows you how to get started with a Material UI project. And once we have that, we're ready to get started. So we just have this simple React application with this app file that just returns one header, that's Hello World. And now we're going to install the one dependency we need, which is Material UI Core. So now that that's installed, we can close our terminal to give us more room, and we can get started. The first thing we're going to do is import what we need from that dependency we just installed. So first of all, we're going to import make styles, and that's coming from Material UI /core/styles. We're going to copy this and we need to import two components, grid, obviously, we're going to be using that, and paper. And we'll get rid of the styles from the end here. So that's all the imports we need. And now we're going to use make styles. So we're going to say const use styles equals make styles. And we're going to pass in the theme. And this is going to return this object of our styles. So now we're ready to get started with our grid. So there's two types of grid components. There's the first one, which is going to be the outer component, and it's called a container. And it's pretty self-explanatory, but this grid, we need to pass in a prop of container, is basically a container for our other grid elements, which are going to be items. So inside, we have a grid, which is an item. Like that. And this container grid can take in some props. For example, it can take a spacing prop, which is going to determine how much spacing is between our item grids inside. So as well as that, we're just going to pass in a class name, which is going to be classes.grid. And we need to initialize classes here. So const classes equals use styles. And because we're using a grid class here, we need to define this up here in this object as grid. And we're just going to say that the width of grid is going to be 100% because we want the whole grid to span the whole width. And we're also going to say it has no margin. Cool, so if we save that, this should refresh and we should have no errors, hopefully, and just a blank page. Cool. So now we're ready to get started with our first grid item. So inside this grid item, we're just going to have a paper component. And this is going to have a class name of classes.paper. And for the first grid element, we're just going to have one inside it. And we're going to close out our paper component. So we need to define what this classes.paper is. So here we're going to say paper, and paper is going to have padding, which is going to come from theme.spacing of 2, and this is where we're using the theme we passed in, which is just a Material UI theme. It's also going to have text align center. We're going to give it a text color, which is just going to be theme.palette.text dot secondary. And we're also going to give it a background color, which is going to be theme dot palette dot success, and we'll make it light. So there's going to be a light green color. Cool. So if we save this now, we should hopefully get our first grid element, which is going to be this, and we can see it's super small. So why is that? Well, because the Material UI grid is a 12 column grid layout, by default this item is only getting to fill one column, so one column's width. So that is 1/12 of the screen, and we can see it also has its spacing of 2 here. So if we wanted to make this wider, so we didn't want it to just fill one column, we can do that by giving it a size. So the item component, we can pass in XS equals 12. So what this is saying, on any screen starting with extra small, which is the smallest screen size, smallest screen width, so basically on any screen, give this grid item a width of 12 columns, which is the full width. So if we say that, then when we save, we can see it's filling the whole width. If we were to change this to 6, then it would just fill up half of the screen. So this is XS equals 6. If we wanted to make this a bit more interesting, so this is on an XS size screen, so a really small screen, we can say that. But on a medium screen, if we wanted to fill the whole width, so on a medium screen it's going to be the full width. If we save that, we can see right now it's a small screen, so it's only filling 6 columns, which is half. If we increase the screen width, we can see now it's filling the whole width. So people would normally, I guess, do this the opposite. So they would say on a medium screen, make it a width of 6, and on a small screen, make it wider. So this is because it's small, it's 12, and if we go up to a medium screen, it's only going to fill half. And you might ask, why would you want to do this? So if we add another grid component underneath, we'll give this 2, and it has the exact same sizing and everything. And we hit save. We can see on this extra small screen, they're being given the full width. But if we increase the width to be a medium screen size, you can see because on a medium screen they're both 6, then they're taking up half of the screen width each. So this is the type of thing that we're going to be doing with Material UI, with the grid system. So here we only have 2, it's pretty boring. Let's also add some more underneath. So let's copy both of these. And let's now say that on an extra small screen, we'll just use the extra small. We're going to make these 3 each. So as you can see, because this is an extra small screen or bigger, they're taking up 3, which is a quarter of 12. So they're taking up a quarter each. So far we've made them the same width on each row, but now we're going to add in something interesting. So we're going to add a third one in here, and we're going to say that on an extra small screen or bigger, this one is going to be 4. So here we have 3 plus 3 is 6, so let's actually make it 6. So now we can see that this third row down, it's being filled up in an interesting way. So this is how you could build some really nice responsive UIs using the grid. And as you can see, it is very reactive. So as the screen width changes, these change. And as I said, normally the type of thing you would do here is you might be displaying some text here, and whenever someone's using it on a mobile phone, you might want that text to just fill the whole width. But if they're viewing it on like a monitor, we can split it up and make it look more interesting. So let's add another one underneath. And let's make, that's 3, 3, 6. Let's just do 4, 4, 4. and this is going to take up 1/3 each. So that's cool. And the last thing we'll do is we'll just change the spacing to be 5. So this should increase the spacing between each of these, as it did. So that's cool. So this is the grid component in Material UI. As I said, it seems pretty complicated in the beginning, but once you get used to it, it's actually super useful and you can build some really nice responsive UIs. So thanks for watching. Hope this quick video helped you out, and I'll see you next time.